today we're going to be discussing a topic none of you probably expected, just because it doesn't really make sense to call Kiriko a problem in Overwatch 2. If anything, she's probably one of the most wonderful heroes there is, just because of how well put her kit is and how amazing she is in a lot of different gameplay styles and tactics. But today we're going to be discussing why she is a problem in consideration with other supports and the meta in general, and what the meta is shifting towards. So once again, if you guys do enjoy this type of content, go ahead and make sure you guys are subscribed, because I've been uploading Overwatch 2 guides consistently for 2 weeks. So can we get some hype in the chat? I've taken a break from YouTube for a whole year. I came back and I've been very consistent for the past 2 weeks. The channel's also been doing very well, so make sure you guys do subscribe. Check out my other guides as well. And without further ado, let's get straight into the video. So as always, I like to begin my videos just by giving you guys a little bit of a backstory as to how we ended up here today by calling Kiriko a problem in the current meta, right? So if you guys are not aware, Overwatch 1 used to be a 6v6. Now a lot of people know this, but if you're new to the game, it's okay, I'll catch you guys up on here. So back in the Overwatch 1 meta, you pretty much were allowed to have 2 tanks, 2 DPS, and 2 supports, right? It seemed very balanced in that way. The issue with that was you pretty much were able to run double shield, and it was called the double shield meta. No one liked it. It felt like you were shooting forever at enemy targets, including their tanks and DPS, and no one was going down. Fights were lasting forever, and pretty much everyone was a bullet sponge. They were getting healed a lot. The tanks were not going down. There was a lot of shield, and it was just not a fun experience. No one really enjoyed it. So then we fast forward towards Overwatch 2, and it's been such a wonderful experience so far with the 5v5, right? Fights are a lot more strategic, and you only have 1 tank, so you definitely do have to focus on healing that tank. Once that tank goes down, then it can be a very, very rough fight for you. So that's where supports come in, and that's where Kiriko comes in, and that's what leads us to why she is a problem. So going into her kit, first of all, she has some of the most insane skills ever, with not much of a long cooldown. Her shift skill allows her to teleport to her teammates, and you need to understand that can be if she is in danger, she can get out of danger quickly, or if your teammate is in danger, she can dive in there, Suzu them, and help them out. And that takes us on to her next skill, which is Suzu. That's her E skill, and it has roughly around a 10-second, 13-second cooldown. Nothing crazy, so you can definitely use it quite a bit. And the reason it becomes an issue is that, I'm not sure if you guys knew this or not, but with her Kitsuna ult, she is able to use it 3 times, right? You use it before you use your Kitsuna ult, you use your Kitsuna ult, you're able to use it again during the ult, and then one last time as the ult finishes, if you time yours properly. So you get 3 chances to make your team invulnerable to damage, to heal them, and to protect them, which negates a lot of ults and can definitely change the tide of the game. So you do have to keep that in mind, right? That's why I believe she is extremely powerful. And on top of that, as she has her Kitsuna ult out, all her kunai knives are dealing so much damage because she has increased fire rate. She can heal quicker, and it's just a very, very rough experience to deal with if you're trying to go up against a very skilled Kiriko. So if we backtrack here a bit, right, let's compare this to, like, for example, a Mercy or a Myra or even an Ana. Pretty much our regular healers or support that we are used to, right? They do not have a kit that is this insane, right? Their ults are pretty much their ults. When it comes to Kiriko, her ult not only enables her team to dive, but also enables her to use her skills properly and spam them, which otherwise they would not be able to be spammed, right? Because Kitsuna ult does definitely bring down your cooldown time, so you're able to spam everything you normally can't a lot faster, right? So that's kind of why I believe that when it comes to her and the meta, she is shifting the entire meta to a more of a dive heavy comp. And I did a guide on this previously where I talked about the shift to a dive meta and what that means for us. And basically what it is you're going straight for that backline. You're diving in with some of the most insane mobility heroes we have in the game, that being Winston, Kiriko, Sojourn, and pretty much anything that can just rush the backline, shut down those supports as fast as possible, and then focus your attention on the tanks and the DPS. So that's what this dive meta means, and everyone is aware of it. So definitely do check out my previous guides as I break it down from tank, DPS, and support, and I'll talk about every single one. So once again, going back to Kiriko, right, she is basically the primary enabler of this new change and shift to the meta, which we've seen right around the time the Overwatch League playoffs have hit. So what happened is you pretty much saw teams run the exact same composition every single time, right? The only variation we've seen, which is basically for the first 10 seconds of a game, is when players would switch from Sojourn, right, to a Widow, and they would shoot, try to hit a shot, they miss, they go back to Sojourn, and that's pretty much it, right? Any other hero was used as just a quick pick if they were able to get it, and then you would just go back to regular comp, which is just your dive meta. So I personally don't think this is healthy for a game, right? Because generally speaking, you want variation in hero styles. When it comes to DPS, although yes, basically some heroes are being abused, for example, Sojourn, Reaper, Cassidy, etc. We do want to see variation there, but at least there's some level of variation. Even with Bastion is being used quite a bit often. The problem with supports is that everyone knows, bottom line, Kiriko is number one, right? There's no questions, there's no if, and, or buts, right? You have to use Kiriko if you're playing at a high level skill. Now, is this a problem? In my opinion, yes, because it basically narrows down your options and you don't see many options, and you end up with the same situation we ended up with in the Overwatch League finals, or even the playoffs in general, where teams ran the same exact composition, and it became almost a hilarious montage of basically mirror matchups. I mean, every team just ran the exact same composition. Kiriko was popping off, and trust me, like, it was fun to watch, because you know, when you would use Kitsune All, the enemy team would use Kitsune All, and you just hear characters flying all over the screen, and they're already have insane mobility, and it becomes more insane. The issue is you just tunnel vision every player in Overwatch into one single dive composition, which is ran by Kiriko. Now, you might ask yourself, how can this be a Kiriko problem? Because that's the title of this video, right? If the team is running a dive composition and they're all using the same thing, how can you single out one main hero? Well, the first thing you need to ask yourself is that when it comes to picking compositions, especially if you're playing at a high level, some of these Overwatch League playoffs have been, right? You need to understand that there's two primary positions that enable the entire team. What that means is, like, if you played chess, for example, that would be your queen and king. You would pick those, and then everything else is picked around those, for example, right? So if you have a support, every composition is based on that support and their playstyle, right? For example, if you were to run a Myra, you wouldn't be running a dive composition. You'd rather be running a sort of sustain and damage burst composition. So because players are picking Kiriko, they're going ahead and picking heroes that are enabled by that Kiriko to dive as strongly as possible, because the whole idea of it was that Kiriko would build up her ult, she would use Kitsuno, you gain that extra move speed. For example, a Reaper would go in, use Death Blossom, and absolutely tear the cheeks out of your whole team, right? So that's the way it's supposed to be. So that's why I think Kiriko is the main enabler of this mirror composition we've seen, right? So unless things change, right, don't be surprised if the next Overwatch League playoffs a year from now is the same composition. Now, obviously from now, we can expect, for example, a Sojourn nerf to come. As you guys know, the nerfs are coming very soon for other heroes, so definitely Sojourn would probably gonna get nerfed. Kiriko is already getting hit with a nerf, but it doesn't really matter. It's not that big of a nerf. So nerfs will happen, and a new hero is going to be introduced. Maybe new heroes also going to be introduced. But until then, I would not be surprised if I still see Kiriko at the top of the charts. So at the end of the day, how can we fix this? How can we change? Well, it's very simple. We do need to do a Kiriko rework, right? Make sure that she is on an even playing field with other supports. Now, Kiriko by herself is not overpowered. That's not the point of this video. All I'm saying is, if you were to pair her up against other supports, there's a very clear distinction that she is 50 times better in almost every single composition. So that becomes an issue, right? So when players are picking how to play supports or which support to play, it needs to be more of a preference rather than a very cookie cutter hero to pick, right? So that's the main issue there. But yeah, other than that, in my opinion, her kit and everything is very well rounded. It's good in general. Just certain reworks needs to be done. For example, cooldowns need to be increased. For example, her kunai knife should not do 5,000 damage if it lands a headshot, because let's be honest, there's no skill involved there. It's primarily luck because it's not a hit scan. And there's lots of other things. Her ult is also very insane. Maybe just nerf the amount of move speed or fire rate power you get, just so that not her entire team benefits from it. So there's lots of other reworks they can do just to tone her down a bit, put her on an even playing field with the other supports, just so we can start seeing more variation. Because I guarantee you, players will not be picking the same heroes, for example, Sojourn, Winston, etc., if their support wasn't a Kiriko, right? Because everything has to come together and everything goes back to who your support is, because in my opinion, that's the backbone of the composition. So as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this quick video on why I think Kiriko is honestly a troublesome hero in this new meta. So let me know what you guys think of this. Let me know where you guys see the meta going in the future. As always, if you guys enjoyed this one, do consider subscribing and checking out my previous guides as well, right? I'm trying to hit another 100 subscribers, right, by the next week, and we've already done it in just a few days. So once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for the continued support. And if you guys want to see me continue doing this, and I do enjoy it, make sure you guys subscribe so it shows me the support is there. Have a great one. Enjoy the rest of your day. And as always, stay winning.